Let's move on now. And a special signing in Darwin this week between political leaders on both sides of the aisle and Indigenous and community leaders has been heralded as a watershed moment. Although the Aboriginal Justice Agreement was formally launched in 2021, this week the Northern Territory's first Indigenous Attorney General, Selena Yubo, signed the document she had been championing since she was sworn in. Opposition leader Leah Finocchiaro also signed the document.
That bipartisanship creates an expectation that future governments of both persuasions will work to complete its aims to reduce high rates of Indigenous incarceration and to improve the NT's justice system. The agreement was the conclusion of more than 160 consultations across 3 years in more than 120 communities. One of the driving forces of the agreement and those consultations was Leanne Little. She's the NT's Australian of the Year. Leanne Little has been a lifelong advocate of justice reform and joins us now from Darwin. Welcome to Weekend Breakfast.
Good morning.
For starters, what does this bipartisanship mean?
Well, what it means is that we can deliver on the transformational change that the Justice Agreement actually intends to do. And it means that we don't have to worry about who's in politics, and we can start to show some of the shifting of gears towards addressing some of the issues for Aboriginal people in the Justice Agreement alongside the three aims: reducing incarceration and improving. Looking at the services to make sure they're accessible for Aboriginal people, and also restoring leadership in communities for Aboriginal people.
And can you give us a sense, Leanne, of just how this agreement will see that happen?
We have 13 commitments within the agreement, and it's unlike others that were done many years ago as a recommendation of the Royal Commission into Aboriginal deaths in custody. We will re-establish community courts in community so that there's swift justice on the table. We will look at programs that actually deal and tackle people's drivers and behaviours so that they can end their reoffending and turn their lives around. We'll look at support for victims to make sure they're supported and provided with restitution. But we also will do things like increase leadership in communities with the establishment of law and justice groups where Aboriginal people can lead, and they can have a platform where they take ownership and accountability for some of the behaviours that they said in our consultations they weren't able to do anymore because there wasn't a platform.
Leanne, I want to pick up on your use there of leadership, because that's a theme that we're running throughout Weekend Breakfast today. You're a very strong, well-known leader. Clearly, there's that appetite in the community. You just said that that was happening in those community consultations. To you, what does strong leadership look like?
I think leadership, I've done 30-odd years in the justice system, and growing up in Alice Springs with everything around that shouldn't be there, plus looking at my role models and mentors. Leadership is really about courage. It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone, and it's not staying in the safe lane. I think it's about letting others and different opinions come to the table so people feel like not only they've been listened to, but they've been heard, and not diminishing those rights. And that includes making sure that the marginalised, the oppressed, the parties that would never usually get a seat at the table, a leader brings those issues to the table for discussion.
And is it that listening and that being heard at whatever table you're sitting at, is that how or part of the way that we foster leadership in others?
Yes. Well, I'm not sure we do such a good job of it at the moment, but I have seen it work. I've seen it when we did the consultations, where leaders turned up and told us exactly what they wanted, even though they didn't have that platform. And what they told us of what we were doing at the moment wasn't working, and they didn't want that to continue for their children and grandchildren's lives. They wanted this change in the future where they weren't seen as pie charts platform numbers and statistics, where people could see what devastation they were living in, and they could be part of that change to create not only safer communities, but a safer Northern Territory all round.
Yeah, which is such a powerful message, and clearly they were saying that they want to be heard and that acted on. You were announced last year as the NT's Australian of the Year. We often hear the statement that it takes just one nomination to see someone like yourself become our top Australian, the Australian of the Year, or to be acknowledged for the work they're doing. What do you say to people who might be considering nominating someone who's doing something amazing in their community?
I think that it provides a result for people who've invested in people like me over the years and displayed leadership, that I now have a platform, not only for the next 12 months, but after that, where I can use that to bring some of the more sensitive issues to the table about discrimination, racism, systems that don't work. It provides a safe platform to bring those other issues to the table so they can get a wider audience and people can hear and listen to what some of those solutions are to those problems.
Yeah, it's a very powerful message, and we're glad that we've been able to hear and listen to you this morning, and hoping to do more of it in the months and years ahead. Leanne Little there in Darwin, thanks so much.
Thank you.